Hello out there.
We're on the air.
It's Rink Moose Talk tonight. The beers are cold.
The mics light up.
And the boys get set to fight. The gloves come off.
Opinions get thrown.
And someone slips on ice. One man howls.
The other scowls.
But the show must go on. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
You're an announcer with a long stick from time to time.
With hockey flows
and more shots known.
Piere Mcguire's life, not John's a leaf,
Ovechkin's teeth,
and Hoffman's crazy wife. When Carey slumps
and Bergevin stomps,
Duran's not LaFontaine. Jokes aside,
it's podcast time,
and Rink Moose is the name.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can.
Hello and welcome to episode 24 of the Rink Moose Episodic Podcast, a weekly episodic podcast where two good friends gather around a table and discuss all things NHL and their implications in fantasy hockey. I am one of your hosts, Nick Costu, with my good pal, the one they call the Big Cheese Man, Kyle Nice. Kyle, what are you doing today? Well done.
Nick, where is this table and why am I not invited?
The table, it's the imaginary table that's standing in between us right now as we're recording this episode, you know?
The great hockey table of discussion.
Yeah, like ideally it's a nice table. We're sitting there together, but, you know, now it's just the imaginary table, you know?
Yeah, I like it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Chilly Sunday evening here. We've just had an awesome all-star break, and we're back at it, folks. We had a bit of a rocky go last week, as some of you may know. We had a bit of a slip-up on my part. Busy week and all. You know, life happens, and sometimes you get slapped in the face with it. But we're coming at you harder than ever, and better than ever before. So we've made some adjustments, and here we are for episode 24, Nick.
Some coaching changes, eh, Kyle?
Yes, Chiarelli is out, and so is the manager of the episodes. I fired the guy. We got a new guy managing. So he's gonna do a good job under my watchful eye, my little sidekick. So yeah, we're gonna be just fine.
Yeah. So hopefully no more removing episodes from the audience. We'll be uploading the 23rd episode, the newly renovated 23rd episode alongside this 24th episode. So rest assured if you fans are missing out on that missing episode there.
Mm-hmm. And without further ado, Nick, I'd like to ask you our first question of the day, and it's our typical Piere Mcguire check-in.
Beautiful.
So Mcguire had a pretty eventful weekend. He was actually this week he was in the news quite a lot. The first one we saw was that awesome interview, and Pierre's always finding little ways to get his interviews to be spicy and magical. But I forget who Gerard Gallant maybe. And Ryan Reeves is just getting his little stick blade in there and tickling Pierre's little brain. And good on you, Piere, because he took it like a champ. Like he kind of ignored it for a while, and then he just gave Ryan Reeves the jolliest old smile. Like, give me a hug, man. Like he was so happy to see that the player was interacting with him. It was just so cute.
Yeah, you know, and the funny thing is, they were on him the second he hopped on the bench because apparently as he was walking over to Gallant to do the interview, they were already squirting water at him through their water bottles.
No way.
Yeah, his pants were getting wet because they were squirting their Gatorade bottles at him.
Do you think all this makes him feel like loved, like one of the boys, or do you think he feels like these guys think I'm a joke?
I think it's happened too long where he just embraces it.
Yeah.
I think if it was like one-off occasions, then like, you know, he might think that way. But I think he's cognizant of the fact that he's kind of the mascot of the NHL. He's kind of the guy everyone wants to pick on. And so I think he just embraces it and likes it, you know?
I think you're absolutely right, Nick. And you see it with the slaps on the ass, right, of the players. And you see it with, like, when Subban gave him a big old kiss on the cheek. Like, these guys know that Pierre is who he is, and he's just this funny character in this league. And I think Pierre just, he gets rocked to sleep at night by just knowing that these players find him important. Like, he's not just some schmuck like Scott Oak. I mean, Scott Oak's a good guy, but he's no Pierre, you know?
Did you see the All-Star thing in Scott Oak?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, you're gonna love this shit. I'll tell you later when we get into the game.
Pierre. Now it's not all fun and games with Pierre, you know, Nick, because he got a little bit of negative attention on during the All-Star weekend. Oh, I think you know what I'm talking about. And
I do.
Let's just say a certain female athlete was hanging around the benches, and Pierre got a little handsy with with the poor gal. And we shouldn't be laughing.
That one still photo you sent me just looks bad.
Yes, it does. It does. And the whole social media world was like, it's like Pierre couldn't get any creepier. Like, then they're so right, too. Like, who else but Pierre to do this kind of thing? And maybe it's probably not malicious, but he just has to have some awareness. Like, you have to have, you know, it's this modern day and age. You have to have some awareness on, you should probably just use your words at this point.
Well, yeah, no, I showed some friends like the GIF, and they like, it was pretty slick, like what he did. Like, it was pretty, like, it was like, it's not noticeable just watching it, but when you showed me the photo, I mean, pretty gnarly stuff there. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to help. This stuff like this, publicity, it's not going to help his GM chances, you know?
No, it's not.
The Oilers, Seattle, these teams looking for general managers, I don't think they're going to come knocking on his door when he's up to antics like this.
That's the thing. That's maybe the counter argument of the point we just made. Like, the fact that he's so buddy-buddy with the players and everyone has fun with him, it really doesn't help his professional credibility.
No.
So that's why when the idea of him being a GM to me is just still so out of this world, because he's such a goof. Like, he is a mascot of the league, and I can't see him any other way. Like, even if he has some wisdom and intelligence, maybe he does squirreled away in that little peanut brain. But no, it's just little things like this. Like, you can't just keep giving yourself, like, you know, TSN plays Mcguire's Monsters, and it's just a bunch of baloney. Baloney calls, Pierre screw-ups, and it's hilarious, and everyone loves it. But, man, like, if I'm an owner of a team, I'm not calling that guy. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, like, there's a golden rule, I think, if you're working in the media, where there has to be a limit on how much fun you can have, right? Like, you need to be informative for the most part, and then you're allowed just a teeny bit of leeway, as in, like, just goofiness, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, people like Ferraro, like, between the benches, like, he doesn't screw around. He tells you what's happening, and occasionally he'll make a little joke here and there, but that's it. Mm-hmm. And these antics that are getting on YouTube and everything, that's not going to help an owner when he's deciding who to make his GM. I don't care how much of a thesaurus, how thick that thesaurus is he's got, you know, in that little peanut brain of his, you know?
Yes, exactly. But boy, are we lucky to have him, though, because he fits his role, he plays it well, and he keeps us talking about him, and he keeps us on our toes. We always got to watch out for his next move.
And that's what would suck if he went to a GM position. This would all be over.
Oh yeah, exactly.
He'd be you'd be in the press box every game. You'd get your one shot of serious Mcguire, you know, drinking his coffee up in the press box, and that would be it. And no more of these antics. So no. I think we should all be blessed that he's still unemployed, and just cherish this time in history.
I have to play the glass half full here. Now we've seen this side of Pierre, like the announcer, the interviewer, the funny man. Now what if we saw the side, and I want to put this in your head, the camera's always flipping back to watching Pierre's reactions to the game, and you get things like the Bergevin dance, you get him freaking out, you get him throwing his coffee, and then every single time the team is on A, winning streak, B, a losing streak, he'll come to the media and he'll do like an interview. And it's like unprompted. Like, Pierre, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, GMs don't usually do this. But no, he's going to come to the, listen, guys, I know we're not doing well, and I knew this would happen, like I predicted. And it's just part of the process. Like, he just say stupid shit. So I think there is fun to have with a Piere Mcguire general manager that we just don't know about yet. Like, I'd love to see him in the playoffs just flipping shit up in the press box.
Now, what I will say is I think coach is the best position.
Oh, yeah.
Because then he gets way more camera work.
Absolutely.
You get an interview every game, even after the most grueling losses.
Yeah.
Like that is, to me, is the
my
dream
God.
situation. If you get Pierre as the coach of the Canadians, the media there would just shred him to pieces.
You know what's funny? How come Pierre has he has more coaching experience than general managing experience, for sure. But the idea of him as a coach has never come up, ever. Because he's already played his hand. Like, he already has failed so hard as coach that it's just not even a thing anymore.
Yeah,
like, I'd love to see this. No, I agree, Nick. If we somehow got this, it would instantly be my most watched team. And like, it would be primetime television. Like, NBC would have to create time slots, like move over NFL. Like, there's a new top sport in town. It's crazy. That would be unbelievable. And there'd be more players slapping ass. Like, there'd be amazing things happening.
Oh, it'd be
my
great.
God.
You'd have like what McKinnon did to Bednar.
Oh.
You'd have that. You'd have every player doing that.
Every single one.
Hey, you know what, Pierre? Fuck off. Fuck you.
And you'd read those lips every single game.
Oh,
They'd
it'd be
always
great.
shake their heads. Phil Kessel, imagine Phil Kessel and Pierre telling him to skate harder. Phil would just fucking, he wouldn't be happy about that. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, and like I said, like the players, they were squirting water at him as he was trying to interview. Like fuck the antics they'd be up to if he was coaching.
Oh my God.
Like, boy, oh boy.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is. You know what? We can dream a little, Nick. If it happens one day, it's a miracle. But we can dream in the meantime. But
yeah, I mean, you never know. He's still young. He's going to be in the business for a while. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I'm just surprised we haven't heard. Like, it sounds maybe more like he's kind of more leaning towards a general managing role, but maybe he'll have a change of heart one day.
Yeah, I don't know. If I were a betting man, I would say sometime in our lifetime, Piere Mcguire will be joining an NHL team in some managerial capacity.
Boy, oh boy.
I don't think that's too bold a statement.
I think that's very bold.
Really?
I do. I think it's very bold. I don't think anyone takes him seriously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like not even like not even GM, like just like an advisor.
Nope.
You know, like behind the scenes.
No, I don't think so. Like, I think they know, like, he would try to put his dirty fingerprints. Like, he would try to make calls for the GM. Like, he would almost undermine the GM at points if he was in that room, and the GM would just be pissed. Like, you know how Pierre is. Like, he doesn't like to be wrong. He really values his own opinion. I think there would be conflict there, and I think people know that. But
yeah, I don't know. The only like reason I say that is because despite how much of a, despite the presence that he, shows to the audience, I still think there's like respected minds in the NHL who like are in powerful positions.
Yeah.
Who like are friends with him because like it's just history. Like they've known each other a while or shit like that. So
yeah, that's fair.
Like Ray Shero. Like apparently him and Ray Shero are like very good pals. So I could easily see like him just extending like an offer to him, saying, "Hey, work for my team."
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah.
All right, Nick,
anyways,
we've spent a lot of time.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. Like, we just got carried away here on our buddy. But
we just love the guy.
Nick, you went to an OHL game this past week. You got some scouting reports for the fans here, or what?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. First thing I'll say is I went to the Leon Center. They call it the Leon Center here in Kingston, Ontario.
That's new,
Sorry?
That's a new name for that arena.
Leon's. I think it's like a brand. I don't know. Leon's. Do they do like
I know
furniture or
Leon's,
something?
but I thought it used to be like the K dot or the K.
No, K Rock Center. Yeah, it's also
K-Rock,
called
yeah.
the K Rock Center.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got two names, I guess.
Okay.
And went there with some friends on a Friday night to see the Kingston Frontenacs host the Saginaw Spirit. Of course, for those following the OHL, Kingston in last place right now. Not
Yikes.
one NHL draft pick on their roster.
Oh my God, that's
So
fucking awful.
yeah, not much to see there. Not much to see there. But I did come to see the Spirit,
I feel bad.
and I'll tell you what. I was not disappointed because they had a
Really?
lot of NHL talent there,
Mm.
and among those names being Owen Tippett, first
Yep.
round pick of the Florida Panthers.
Good player.
We had the McLeod kid, who
Ryan or-
who's a second. I forget his first name. I think Ryan. Yeah, Ryan McLeod.
Yeah, he's good.
Early second round pick from what I know. Not sure who has him.
Edmonton, I think.
Edmonton. Yes, Edmonton. And the guy who got me off my seat, Bodie Wild,
Ooh.
early second round pick of the New York Islanders. This kid, first off, Kyle, what I will say is we sat first row. We were at the glass, just like that game when we saw McDavid in London.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, the size of these kids, that's the first thing you notice, just how fucking big these guys are.
Really?
Like Tippett, it's massive. He's
Really?
a massive guy. He's not physical. He's not throwing the body around. That's not his game. But like, fuck, if I just ran into him, I'd be done.
Oh my God, really?
Oh my God, he's big. Like, he's intimidating just looking at him. And he made some slick plays. Very nice passing. I was very impressed. Like, just little things you just love to see live. Makes you remember just how great watching these skilled players is live. But boy, oh boy, Bodie Wild, 6'5". Wow. This guy's massive, Kyle. He controls the game. He controls the pace of the game when he has the puck. The way he makes long passes from his end, just savvy little plays. The way he controls the puck. Not the best skater, obviously at 6'5", but just his poise with the puck. I just loved the confidence he had, and he scored a slick goal too. He jumps up in the play at the right time. High hockey IQ. I was just really impressed with this Bodie Wild guy, and I understand why he was projected to be a first round pick. I remember in Bobby Mack's rankings, he was like a early 20s or late teens draft, and he actually like got slipped big time. I remember watching the draft, and his name just kept falling and falling and falling. And I have a theory of why that was the case.
Okay.
There was a point in the game where he scored. I mentioned that slick goal, and it showed the highlight reel on the jumbotron, and then it flipped over to him on the bench. Quick shot of him on the bench, and the guy he sticks out his hand. He starts waving to the jumbotron with his tongue sticking out of his mouth, like a baby, like he's posturing and just looking like a idiot. He straight up just waved to the camera and stuck his tongue out.
That's freaking lame.
Like, just weird. You're almost 20 years old. Like, what are you doing?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
fuck. Like what is this?
That is lame. That has
It
me
is lame.
worried. That has me really worried.
It
about
has
the
me
guy.
very worried, and I think he has some character issues, and I think that may be why he fell, because oftentimes when these players fall in the draft, it's those kind of off ice things, right?
Yeah,
we
maybe
saw
it
it with a
came out in the
kid. We saw it with
interview,
a kid like Ryan Merkley,
Yes.
who was one of the most talented players in that draft, who slipped to San Jose in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
So I my theory is this Bodie Wild kid. You got the same very same scenario, and I tried to kind of expose that personality out of him. Every time he lined up for a face-off, I was right at the blue line. I'd bang at the glass. I'd chirp at him.
No way.
And yeah, it's, we were pretty sauced, and we were kind of getting into it with the players.
Wow.
And yeah, he wouldn't, like, I tried to get some aggression out of him, like a Jack Eichel response where he'd like look at me or something, but he just wasn't buying it.
Wow.
But yeah, man, that's my theory, and he's a guy I'm gonna keep my eye on, because I see the talent there. He's with the Islanders, who had a great draft that year, as you pointed out when I spoke to you about him.
Yeah, amazing.
And man, I look forward to seeing how this plays out here. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him.
And it's funny because you mentioned that, and then it kind of makes me wonder, like, talented American kids are usually going through the U.S. National Development Program these days, and it makes me question, why does a talented young American kid come to the OHL? And then I kind of had this epiphany when you were talking, and I'm like, maybe they go to the OHL because they know they're going to be repping like a nice big city, or not big city, but a nice big town. And they're going to be like the talk of the town. Like, think about how the celebrity status the London Knights guys get. Like, I think
Crazy.
they come here to the OHL because they want to have that limelight. They want to be the stars, and they want to just showboat their way through their junior years. And I think that it might be what we're seeing here in Old Bodie, because it sounds like he really likes the spotlight, and It might be a problem down the road, but it sounds like he's an interesting character, and we'll have to keep an eye on him. I know you like your character guys, Nick, good or bad. You like your polarizing figures, so this one is going to be a one that we will keep an eye on, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to him.
Definitely. And one last thing I will say just about the experience in general is if you ever have the opportunity to go to the K-Rock Center or the Leon Center, whatever you want to call it, boy, oh boy, Kyle, we talked about Florida and no fans showing up to those games. Nobody was at this game.
What?
It was the arena. It's small. My first reaction was we've been to the Knights games at the Budweiser Garden there.
Yeah.
And that is like an NHL arena. Like there's a 100 level, a 300 level. At this barn, at the Leon Center, it's just the 100 level. And it's much more inclusive and it's kind of nice, to be honest.
But couldn't
boy,
fill
oh boy,
it?
nobody was there. They were straight up sections, like the corner sections. Not one soul was sitting there.
Oh, that's awful.
It was awful. Like it was awful how no one was there. It was like it was. I'd never seen a more empty rink in my life.
Wow.
And so I felt kind of bad, and it makes me wonder if this is kind of a theme in the OHL, like in these smaller markets. Like
Yes.
I know we can't. I've only been to the games in London and Kingston, but like the difference between the two and how much this may have a factor in other markets. Like I wonder if this is the same in like Sault Ste. Marie, or somewhere else like Erie or Flint. Like where the
Yes.
fuck's Flint?
Yeah, that's,
you think they
that
get a
in
lot of
particular,
fans?
That is a bad one in particular.
Yeah,
But,
Flint, Michigan.
yeah. No, I don't know.
I
don't know
like
too
I
much.
yeah.
No, go on.
Well, I didn't even know there were market OHL teams in the U.S. before
yeah.
this Saginaw game.
Oh yeah.
Saginaw's in Michigan apparently. So
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? These guys have come to Kingston all the way from Michigan? Like that's a far commute for like the OHL.
Yeah, and some
I'm
of the
like-
WHL teams have like a Portland
Yeah.
Winterhawks and-
It's weird. It just like there's three teams: Flint, Saginaw, and Erie. Like I didn't even know Erie was like a city in the States until yesterday. Like it boggles my mind how Connor McDavid was playing on an American team in the OHL.
Yeah, it's weird. It is
But
weird.
anyways, yeah. No, my bigger point is like I'm curious how, like, I'd love to go to other OHL markets and other cities and just see what it's like, because like I've only been to two and it's kind of fascinating how like we were given a whole tour of the Budweiser stage, like the epitome of great OHL organizations, the London Knights, like the Leafs of OHL, right?
Yeah.
And you're professional, and then you go to Kingston and it's like fucking, it's like it's out of Slapshot, you know where they're
Nice.
playing in Slapshot in that arena. It's
Yeah.
like going to that game.
I mean, yeah, it hurts to hear, Nick, and I don't know too much about the attendance in the OHL and the business side of things, but what I do know is that I know they've been going through that, like the labor disagreements about should we pay these players like they're professionals, and it just sounds like there's some OHL teams out there where they would just fold if that were the case. Like they're definitely not only held up by these ticket sales. There's definitely outside factors holding them up. But here's my theory, Nick, and now let me know what you think of this. I think the larger cities that have OHL team or CHL teams do well. Think of the Londons, the Halifax teams, maybe the Quebec Ramparts, the Calgary Hitmen. I know they do really
Barrie.
well. Barrie, yeah, the Edmonton Oil Kings, they do well.
Sioux Greyhounds, probably.
And then so I think those guys do well. I think maybe the tiny places might do well because hey, there's nothing else going on in the town. It's not a big barn. We can probably get some decent numbers from what we can in the barn. Think of like I don't even know, like just tiny places, but I think everything in the middle, and there's a lot of them, they'll probably struggle. Like just out of market places, like where you barely even realize, like Saginaw. Like that's not a tiny town, but it's not like a major town, and they're just kind of like they're so in the middle. Yeah. So I don't know, like because I know a lot of junior teams, if it's like in a small town, like not even Aurora, but towns up north, they'll go watch the junior teams because there's nothing much to do in the town, right? Like it's just something people do. They've grown up doing it. But in towns like Aurora, when I go to Aurora junior hockey game, junior A, it was empty, man. It was just so sad to watch. So yeah, it's a sad fact, but it kind of makes you want to go to more games, does it not?
Oh, it's great for me because you get to go. It's cheap and the seats are not taken, and you get the best seat in the house. If you have I want to go see Mikey DiPietro when he comes down with the 67s.
Yeah,
and I might want to just get a seat behind the crease and just watch Mikey the whole game.
Yeah,
and that'll be my best chance to see a guy who's going to be a stud in the NHL like 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
The fact you get to do that, like we had that experience with Connor in London, like. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if I don't have to compete with people like in London to get seats, and that to me is very nice. I'm just saying from like a broad standpoint, just seeing like I want to see fans in the seats to cheer on these teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just not seeing it, right?
I mean, yeah, think of it from our perspective. If we were living in a town like Kingston, what you are, and we wanted to do a little bit of scouting, think of how easy and awesome that would be for you.
Oh yeah,
like tickets.
You got like
cheap.
2 games a week, yeah.
Yeah, go like have a couple drinks in you, and you got a guy you're looking to watch. It's awesome. Yeah. It's a really accessible little thing. So yeah, living in an OHL town is a really neat thing.
Yeah, and one last thing I will say is if you ever do get the chance, to all those listening, to go to the game there in Kingston, make sure you pay the $5 and get the bacon on a stick.
Oh my god!
And get the maple sauce drizzled on it.
Wow.
Fantastic! If you gotta Google this, Kyle, just Google bacon on a stick. It's not like a bacon, like it's like this big hunk piece of meat. Wow. On this stick, and it is bacon, but like it's a fatty piece of bacon, and you just munch on that. Delicious.
I'll take note of that.
Delicious.
Yeah, next time I'm in Kingston for sure.
Yeah,
I'll have to have that and watch a game. Who knows? Maybe I'll come up for like a very key matchup, and I'll just go over, and then we'll have a couple drinks, go out, and then I'll leave in the morning.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Could be a
fun.
fun
Yeah. Like that guy in Sudbury.
Yeah, Byfield. Yeah.
Yeah. Find out when he's in town next year, and there you go.
Hopefully it's on a weekend, and then it'll be easy.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what another thing they do is they only play on weekends.
Oh,
in the
really?
OHL, it's basically it's an exclusive like Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule.
Really?
And they'll play like triple headers. It's crazy. They'll play back to back to back, and that'll be their schedule for the week.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool how they do that. It's very fan friendly.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we better move on, Nick. The time is ticking. So we, as we said before, it was All-Star Weekend, and you know what? It was a good weekend, in my opinion, Nick. I think it was a hell of a success of an All-Star game and an All-Star skills competition. I think you got some good storylines coming out of the weekend, and perhaps most intriguing and most groundbreaking in a way was that we had our first women ever to compete in the All-Star skills competition, Nick. It was pretty cool. We had Kendall Coyne Schofield, the American skater, with the just a dazzling fastest skater run. she went out before the other players did. So she was actually the first woman ever to compete at the All-Star Skills Competition. And I think she posted something like a 14.3 or 4. And that was 7th out of 8 overall, Nick. So she beat one player. She beat one of the guys. Do you know who that player was? I do, but do you want to take a guess?
Okay, let me guess. I'm just trying to remember who was in the competition.
Who was the slowest man out there?
Yeah, so I know McDavid won.
Trick is Heiskanen fell first and then went again and did pretty good.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Heiskanen fell. Pettersson was in it. Couldn't be Pettersson, right?
Atkinson was in it. Eichel was in it. Barzell was in it.
Was that Atkinson?
There was Clayton Keller in it.
Keller was... Yeah, I don't know, man. Tell me.
All right. It was Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller was the slowest man out there.
Wow.
He was slower than Kendall Coyne Schofield.
I mean, she was fast. She looked really fast. So.
You know what? The way she was moving, it looked like she was like her legs were probably moving among the fastest. But I guess that's the strength of some of the other guys' stride was what pushed them over. But yeah, she was just a really impressive form and technique and all that. Like she was just dancing around those corners. It was really cool to watch.
Yeah, she was. You know what though? She was not quick enough to escape the grasp of Piere after her skate there, wasn't she?
You just had to throw that in there again, eh? Didn't you? We gave Piere 20 minutes earlier.
I was not ready to close the books on Piere just yet.
Oh my God! And that's just Piere think. I bet in his head he's like, "Gentleman Piere, here we come." And you know what, Nick? I gotta say this. Just one more note. When Pierre's on skates, he fucking creeps me out. He creeps me out big time. It's like when he's on skates and like he's gliding around. It almost makes me
with the
feel like
tracksuit on.
Yeah, it almost makes me feel like he's lubed up and his head is so smooth and it's like, ugh. Guy creeps me out, man. This guy. But hey, yeah, good. Smart of the NHL and NBC to have him present because again he's such a figure. So yeah, that was interesting. Kendall did really well there. And you know what? This may lead, Nick. I think we're gonna see this more often. Don't you think? Like women, maybe the women all-stars from their league. I'm drawing a blank on what it is, but I think this could be a regular thing. Them competing in the games.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was a pleasant surprise to see, and I don't. There's no reason not to include it. Like I think it was really cool how they integrated it at the start of every skill there. Like I'll be honest, Kyle, I hate the skills competition. I thought it was miserable. I thought that everything but this integrating of the women players was great. Mm-hmm. But everything but that was awful. Right. And I just couldn't get behind any of these skills. Like I just didn't care.
Yeah.
That's just my take. Like I couldn't get invested. Like I wasn't watching live. I just watched these segments afterwards, and I was just like why do I care?
Yeah, same here. Like the whole nonchalantness, and no one really is trying too hard. The only thing I could see as merit, as value, is just the guys interacting with each other. You might get to see a little bit of personality trickle through, but even that's hard. Like they have some of the guys mic'd up for the game, and I think that's great. I don't know that they might want to put more mics on the guys during the skills too. I think I just love to hear the chirps that go on and just the trash talk and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like people weren't really giving it all.
Yeah, like I personally couldn't get invested until, and this includes the game, until probably the second game between the Atlantic and the Metro. Because the skills just looked like no one was giving it a go, and then the first All-Star game between the Pacific and the Central was just awful. It was like no one was trying. It was like nobody was there. And then finally in that second game, it was a nice close game, and you got to see some competitiveness. Guys back checking, guys actually poke checking the puck away from other guys. The goalies trying. It was good to see.
One thing I did note from the skills competition was I thought it was just a smart, intelligent, classy move when Matthews pulled over that Marlowe jersey when he was doing the accuracy thing. I thought that was really smart and funny. But man, he blew it though. You know, he had a hard time on the accuracy there. But that
it would have been nice for him to win it there.
Yeah, and then I had this funny point about you know how Crosby is a true veteran. You know how you can tell is because you know Crosby hates the whole skills competition and the All-Star game. Crosby's notorious for not showing up to these events at all. But given where Pittsburgh is, he knew he had to avoid the suspension. So he's got the flu for the one day, and then he comes out and he's the MVP of the games. And it's just hilarious. Like he played it so well that I'm gonna not do what I hate, and I'm still gonna have fun at the game and not get suspended. It's just a true veteran move, in my opinion.
And what I will add is I think that Crosby, Barzal, and Letang line, whoever's idea it was to put those guys together was fantastic because they were by far the slickest line in the league in the games. And this is I was very impressed with that line. I also liked the short little time we had with Tavares and Stamkos, the 291s.
Yeah.
Stammer had the best goal of all the games in my mind, the one where he put it through his legs as he was falling. That was very nice. Very slick move in front of the net on, I think it was Lundqvist. Yeah. That was pretty slick.
Yeah, I mean, this is another cool thing about maybe one of the merits of the All-Star game because a lot of people chirp, and I'd like to find little positives, but you see like chemistry between Barzal and Crosby, and it just looks so natural out there. It gets fans thinking and wondering, what would it look like if these guys were actually on the same team together? It kind of gets you excited, in that inner fan in you is just like, well, this looks like they have great chemistry, and I want to see them more together. And then it just takes it away, like it's over, and it's like, because those two together, it was very cool to see for sure.
And one last thing I'll say on the All-Star game is I love having the guys mic'd up. I think that makes it great.
Yes.
They had Jack mic'd up, and as he was playing, so he's playing and he's talking to the guys in the booth at the same time. And so he made a bad pass. He just made a pass that didn't get to his teammate, and you could just hear him straight up be like, "Oh man, that was a shit pass." He's saying this. He's saying this on the CBC, and you can hear it all. It was great.
One thing I'd like though, I'll tag on that is the guys who are talking to him. I wish they weren't, those guys. I wish they were a little bit more like players, why can't we have like a Biz Nasty get in there and start talking to these guys? That would be prime television. They added Biz Nasty for this kind of thing. Oh,
yeah, get some fun guys. Like I know we mentioned like Scott Oak before. He's just your classic nerdy hockey host,
Yeah.
But there was a good part in this game, and I got a big chuckle out of this. It was the dying minutes of the Atlantic Metro game, and he was interviewing Johnny Cooper, and it was like 2 minutes to go. They were down like a goal or two, and Cooper was like, "Hey, Scott, you want to pull the goalie out for us?" And Scott was like, "Okay," and the camera's on the two of them, and you see both of them like Cooper's whistling to his goalie, and Oak's like giving the wave and saying like, "Hey, get over here," and then like within literally 5 seconds, there's a turnover.
No,
and the Metro score, and the camera's still on these goofs. And Bieksa, who's doing the play-by-play in the middle, he's like, lots of blame to go around on that one. and you just see Cooper pointing at Scott Oak going, "It's this guy's fault. It's this guy's fault."
That's awesome.
It was funny. It was really good. Good classy move by John Cooper, I thought.
Yeah, fuck Cooper, but yeah, there was a good light moment there.
Oh, I love those moments.
You know what was
Fantastic.
another funny thing was just a little tidbit of happiness was Nathan McKinnon coaching on the bench with his little Tim's cup in his hand.
Right.
I just thought that was very symbolic. But
Yeah, you know what? I did like how he showed up because he doesn't get the suspension, right? So
Yeah.
he doesn't play, but he's not suspended, and his team needs all the points they can get right now. So
exactly.
Definitely a classy move on his part.
Another smart move, like those Cole Harbor boys are talking because McKinnon plays it perfectly. Like the news came out, he needs an MRI. His foot's badly, bruised. Fuck, I bet there's barely anything wrong with him, Nick. But the fact that he shows up and the news about the MRI, it comes off clean, and he avoids the suspension. But at the same time, he's not spending his body. So it's a very smart move by him, and I think it's I don't think there was too much wrong with him, but it is what it is. At least he was there, and I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, unlike Ovi, who's going to have to miss a game when he gets back.
Yeah. He just he wanted to go on vacation, a couple of drinks.
And his team, they've only got something like 30 games left, and like I said, they're in a bad place right now. So he's got to help them out, and good to see he was at the game.
No, yeah, they might actually be in a little bit of trouble, but
we'll
get
in
to,
trouble.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But my one last question about this All-Star game, and this is the age-old All-Star question, of course, because these guys are on vacation, Nick. Who do you think leads the charge for tearing up San Jose drunk with a bunch of All-Stars? Who on those rosters is going, boys, I know the best place in town. Get your drinks, meet at the hotel, and let's get going.
Honestly, I think Joe Thornton just threw a party at his house.
Oh,
that's what I think.
Really?
He's a classy. He's the guy, picking up a van from the airport. He's the first guy he meets, driving him around San Jose, showing him around.
Wow.
I could see Jumbo being kind of one of the longest tenured guys there, just throwing a massive party on the Friday or the Saturday night.
That's very interesting because, another thing, just a guy not on the roster but definitely very involved. Man, that's a good answer there. I like.
Yeah,
that.
he's the big endorser of San Jose hockey, and so even if he's not at the game, I could definitely see him kind of showing the players around. And I think they were a great host, and I think one thing that needs to be underlined that not a lot of people embrace is that I believe the city of San Jose, the hockey market of San Jose, is probably the gold standard of Sunbelt hockey organizations.
Interesting.
That's my argument because they make the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
They get the fans to show up. If you think of other Southern hockey markets, I know Nashville's been picking up steam of late, but they had a dark history before all that good stuff. I think just consistently this past decade, I think San Jose is the gold standard of Sunbelt hockey.
That's a fair point. point. Yeah, it's something I would never think of, as you know. I mean,
because Anaheim, they don't get many fans in their rebuild. I know they've had cups of late, but the arena, it's in the middle of nowhere, kind of. LA, I mean, yeah, but they've got the advantage of having a long history, and then other markets, Dallas, Nashville, Florida's, Arizona's. Colorado's okay, but I don't know.
They're
My
not
pick would
really
be San
south
Jose.
enough, though. Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. To me, it's San Jose.
That's fair to say. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe some teams are on the rise, but in the last 10 years, San Jose has been consistently very, very good and have had very influential players. So they've had some good luck there too. So. Yeah, I like San Jose as a hockey market for sure.
Yeah, good. They chose a good host, and next year should be good too. It's going to be in St. Louis. Again, one of the, in my opinion, best sports cities in all of North America. And they should do just as well of a job, if not better. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and did you hear they recently announced the outdoor games for next year? I forget who they are, but they got... I think Dallas is it. Colorado, Dallas is one of them. I think.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's not a game, but those are the two different games. So Dallas
Okay.
will host one and Colorado will host one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which will be cool. Like the Colorado one, it's got like the main Air Force base there, which
Yeah.
apparently is from what I hear is really something. And the Dallas one will be interesting as well.
Now they had some sort of petition going on a couple of years ago, where they were trying to get like a crazy outdoor game in like the mountains or on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. Like, why don't we do something sweet like that? Like, just something so out of this comfort zone. Like, imagine Lake Louise hockey game, like NHL style. It'd be insane. Maybe you wouldn't get a lot of fans like spectating, but could you imagine the TV stuff that would go on? That would be the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. My God. But that's a whole nother story, Nick. That's a whole nother story.
Well, I see your point. I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago about the game in the desert. The one Pierre said happened between Vegas
there you
or
go.
New York and LA played a game in the desert in the 70s or the 80s. Like, I want to see shit like that. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to do this outdoor game like thing, like why not make it a more of a spectacle than it already is? Because we've played that hand now, and now people are used to it. Let's up the ante a little bit, you know. Let's go to Lake Louise. Let's go to the desert. Let's go to Parliament Hill. Let's get symbolic with this, and just make it happen. I think that'd be really cool. But alas, Nick,
Sure.
we should move on. We should move on.
Mm-hmm.
We should move on. And perhaps the biggest news. Actually, yeah, this is the biggest news of last week, and it took the entire NHL not by surprise, but maybe by relief. Nick, Peter Chiarelli is finally fired. Wow, what a feeling! It's like the Edmonton Oilers fan base took a huge exhale and said, "All right, the demons have been exorcised. We can finally look forward and have some hope. Some hope finally as it has come." Now, I want to ask you this. Has Peter Chiarelli just put together a top 3 worst general manager stints in the history of the league? And I'm not saying he's the worst GM in the history of the league, but a general manager stint, his tenure in Edmonton, has got to be one of the worst that this league has seen in the last 100 years.
Yeah, I don't think that's too bold of a claim to make. And it's important you say stint.
Yes.
Because let's not
of course.
forget, this was a guy who I believe won a cup
He
with
did.
Boston, right?
He did,
And,
yep.
and he made key acquisitions like trading for Tuukka Rask and stuff like that.
Yep.
So like let's not forget stuff like that in his tenure in Boston.
Nope,
But in terms of just this stint in Edmonton, and you look at these highlight reel, moves like trading a star player, a generational talent for Adam Larson. That can't happen.
Boy, oh boy.
That cannot happen. I don't care what your need is on defense, how you want to spin the deal and say, we need this, we have enough of this. That was a bad deal. The guy wins the Hart Trophy when you trade for Adam Larson.
It's nasty.
So
Absolutely
yeah,
nasty.
things like that are just the cherry on top, and then you throw in the Barzell thing, and
Oh.
you throw in the
The
Griffin
Eberle
Reinhart.
deal.
And,
Now,
and-
Nick,
and
that
dra-
one's-
drafting Yakupov. Like,
Oh.
jeez.
That's the worst
mess.
one for me, man. Like when he got Griffin Reinhart in what is currently one of the best drafts we've seen in recent history. In 2015, he had a 16th overall pick, I believe. Okay, in one of the best drafts in recent history. Griffin Reinhart comes to the organization, and Islanders are just giddy as all shit. Because they see Boston go 1, 2, 3, fuck, and then Barzell lands on the New York Islanders. What a slap to the face. And where's Griffin Reinhart now? I couldn't tell you. I'm not going to look it up. I'm not going to give him the clicks. I could not even tell you what organization he belongs with. I think he might be in the Vegas AHL team. It's fucking ridiculous. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of points have been made that he's not surrounded by the right guys who are like, what are his pro scouts talking about? Because they must have scouted this guy, Reinhardt. Like, they must have advised him, hey, this guy's good. But at the end of the day, it's his fault. But I think there's more wrong with Edmonton than just that guy. Like, there are outside internal factors that are fucking things up. And I think this next GM is going to have to be such a character, such a strong backbone to say, this is my team and I'm going to run it my way. Otherwise, we might see the same problems, Nick. Like,
right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's two things I want to say, and they're both insider information.
Okay.
Number one is Ferraro said that it's like there's an old boys club there in Edmonton where it's all these old aging minds who think they want to remake a team from the 80s, the great Gretzky days when Messier was there and you could just load up on forward talent and just outscore every game and just win that way. It's all these older minds that think that you can just win that way. And I'll tell you what, that's you're not going to win that way. You need good goaltending, you need good defense, and this whole tradition of drafting forward after forward after forward and just missing and missing and missing. And when you do draft a good guy, you trade him. It just has not worked. And I think, like Ferraro put it well, you have all these yes men there. You're sitting in this boardroom. Chiarelli's putting forward this move. And all these older guys are just saying, yes, Peter, yes, Peter, yes, Peter, yes, men. You need to get rid of these yes men. You know, what good are these guys?
Yeah.
And you need to get all those guys out. And the other thing is, this is the second bit of inside info is, Piere thinks they're going to be just fine because that owner or whatever his position is, that Bob Nicholson, the guy who had the press conference.
I think he's
afterwards.
a CEO.
Yeah, CEO. He apparently he's got a high reputation. Back in the 2004 World Junior, Canada had a rough World Junior, and what Piere said was he remembered him. He was kind of the runner of that team there, managerial wise. He had a big debrief. He had to make some tough moves, let go of the coach, made some big moves to replace some guys on the bench in managerial roles. And from then on out, 05, 06, 07, 08, I think Canada went on to win 4 golds in a row ever since that debrief that was led by that Bob Nicholson guy.
Really?
So I think, Piere said that. So I think they got the right guy there. He seems like a rational guy, and everything he said in the press conference I thought was fair. And so I can only hope he gets it together. So I do think there needs to be like a purge, like you put, there needs to be a big purge, and you need to get some new faces in there. Yeah, in Edmonton.
Who would you like to see there next in the general manager's seat, Nick? Who do you think would be a good?
Well, a name I've been hearing a lot of is a guy called Kelly McCrimmon.
Yeah,
he was one of the big architects of the Vegas Golden Knights, and their masterful job in putting that team together through the draft. He's a great evaluator of amateur talent, pro talent, just a great scouting mind, and also a great manager. And so I think if Vegas let him leave, I think that would be great. I think a guy like Al Murray in Tampa, who people have been saying is one of the best scouts ever in the history of the NHL.
Easy.
He's just consistently good. If you look at his scouting record with LA and Tampa, a big reason why Yzerman in all those years in Tampa had so many great players coming in. And I think if he might get a chance, that would be really cool. So I think those are two kind of under the radar names that you should be watching out for here.
Now, my favorite name out there, Nick, is Ronnie Hextall. Recently let go from the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, from what I can gather, Ronnie Hextall was let go because he had a plan and he was willing to stick with it, and it just wasn't in the same interest as the owner. So I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, well, here's a guy who's willing to stick to his guns. He's willing to trust his own process. And to be honest, I mean, I've been pretty vocal. I've liked his tenure of work. I liked what he put together in Philadelphia. I'm not sure why exactly things have fallen apart this year, but I think he's drafted really well. I think he's done a great job with shedding bad contracts in the past. And I think this guy's just an overall great GM who maybe ran into a bad situation over there. I think he'd be a good fit in Edmonton if he's willing to try it out. He's also out of a job right now as opposed to the guys you mentioned there. So he could step in whenever. Now, I'm not saying they should rush or anything. I just think he fits the bill pretty well. But now, with all that being said, Nick, the Oilers are in a weird spot now because they kind of are maybe leaderless in a way, and they are within striking distance of the playoffs. The deadline's coming up. There's a lot of balls in the air, juggling a lot of balls in the air. What is their move at this deadline? And I'm of the opinion they cannot mortgage the future because I think it might be maybe a bad year to really go for it. But I mean, if they're sniffing around, and especially in these next couple of weeks, if they start getting on a winning go, and they're sort of flirting with being very good contenders for a playoff spot, do they potentially add a guy at this deadline?
I don't think they can, Kyle. And I think the rationale there is, even if they do look at the standings and go, oh, we are so close, and we can do this, we can get in. Even if you go through the lengths of trading some future talent or some future picks to get into the playoffs, to get a few games at your brand new arena at Edmonton, to get the fans out there, you're going to play a fantastic team in the first round, probably, a Nashville, a Winnipeg, Calgary, a San Jose. You don't want that. You don't want to just be you put all this effort in getting into the playoffs, trading away, mortgaging your future, and then just to get shellacked in the first round. I don't think that's a recipe for success. I think that's counterintuitive. I think this is now the part where you sit down and you got to have a rebuild, and there's no rebuilding on the fly. You just got to rebuild, and it pains me to say that.
That hurts, man.
That's
hurts.
That's been the message there the past 5-10 years.
Oh, 10
rebuild.
years.
Not 10. They were just in a cup final. But last 5 years, it's been rebuild. Okay, Connor, we're building around Connor. Oh, Nuge, we're building around Nuge. Hall, we're building around Hall. Yakupov, we're building around Yakupov. It's all these first-round picks, we're building around this guy. Building, rebuild. And they get one playoff against one round. They beat San Jose. They lose to Anaheim. But it sucks because it's like they had a rebuild, and now they got to do it all over again.
Yeah.
It's like it's been unproductive.
Oh, man, it hurts. It hurts.
And it hurts. It hurts for guys like Connor. And the boys on Overdrive, it was in TSN, it was funny what they said. They had a photo of McDavid when he was just drafted, short hair, clean shaven. And then you got the new McDavid, who looks like he's just off the cast of Castaway. He's like Tom Hanks from Castaway. His hair's like Jesus. He's got the grizzled beard. And it's like he's been trapped on this Chiarelli Island for 5 years with no provisions, and he's a mess.
No provisions.
Oh, awful.
That's good. That's good. That is very good stuff.
Very good stuff. But again, it shows you just how much of a debacle it's been there, and how much this kid's been through.
I have a very, very, very interesting solution to all this. Very interesting. Now, I don't know how this is going to possibly happen, but I say hold steady this year, and what you want to do is tank next year. If Edmonton Oilers tank in 2020, get a top 5 pick, holy shit. You're looking at a team that can turn this thing around very, very fast. Because, Nick, I know we've talked about the 2020 draft about being very, very good. There's talk out there, Nick, that this could be the best draft ever in the history of the league in terms of talent in this first round. Next year is literally the year to finish last. And it's not even because of the French-Canadian kid. It's because of all these guys. If Edmonton were to grab a top 5 next year, boy, oh boy, they would turn it around so quick. But I don't know how they go about doing that. But
I agree. And even if you can get somewhere this year, if you can finish in the like in the, I don't know, like, here's what I'm saying. Like, don't make the playoffs. Get like something like the 20th pick in the first round this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Draft Spencer Knight.
Oh.
Get the best goalie prospect since Marc-Andre Fleury. Fix your goalie struggles. This Koskinen Talbot debacle. Literally everything I hear about this kid is he's like Fleury when he was drafted. He's got the athleticism of Fleury, but the poise and calmness of Carey Price, the character of a DiPietro. He's like the package.
Come on.
Everything I hear about this kid. And if you could just get him to solve these troubles, because boy, oh boy, don't even get me started on that Koskinen contract. They signed the guy they give him $4.5 million, and then he gives up 3 stinkers in that game against Detroit, like literally the day after he signs that extension. Like it was like a recipe for disaster. It just looks that way right now. Talbot looks like he's on his way out. You're gonna need a goalie, Kyle. If you're gonna win the cup with McDavid in 5 years from now, the Oilers are gonna win a cup, or 8 years from now. I don't know, but hopefully they win a cup with McDavid. You're gonna need a kid in net, right?
Yeah.
So draft. Spencer Knight. He's ranked 19th by Bob McKenzie right now.
Yeah.
Take him in a late teens, where you're likely to draft, and then next year load up on 2 first-round picks or something by making some moves here, and then you get you can get a defenseman and like a forward next year.
Yeah. I worry because you're setting their window to be very, very late. Like you know how goalies develop. The Spencer kid won't be NHL starter caliber until he's like 21, 22, which will be like 4 years from today. And I don't know.
Yeah,
like it
but
just
I don't
scares
think
me.
they're not in a position to win in the next 4 years. I just can't see that.
I don't know.
The Oilers can't be in a cup final. The way Chiarelli has dropped his team to just shit, it's just they can't be in a cup final in 4 years. He's done too much bad stuff. He's taken on too many bad contracts and traded away too many future assets to just like snap your fingers and be in a cup final in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? The next 4 years are all about the Leafs, the Lightning, Nashville, these teams that have
Colorado
built and are at the top. Now, Colorado. Edmonton, you can have the 4 years after that, but now's not your time. I'm sorry.
That hurts. I hope nobody in Edmonton's watching this. And we don't get a lot of Alberta fans, so I don't think they are. But, man, at least they get to watch the best player all the time. Like, they have that. Like, that's something to be proud of, you know?
Not for long. If things aren't fixed there in 3 to 4 years and he doesn't see things going right, he might want out.
You think Connor McJesus will request a trade?
I don't think he should do that now. I think then he'd be getting a lot of criticism. But I think you let the guy who's coming in get a fair shake, give him the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully he's a smart hockey mind. Don't just quit on him right away. Show some honor. Let the guy have his 3-year stint.
Yeah.
Then reevaluate, see how he's done. And then if you want out, you can want out, and you won't be criticized for it because you'll have stuck along for the guy's shtick.
Yeah.
For what was a reasonable time in my mind.
Now, Nick, before we move on from Edmonton, because we're getting up there in time, I want to do. Now, have you heard of the potato challenge?
No.
Basically, what people are doing on social media recently is they're doing this potato challenge, Nick, and it's basically, if we had a potato as our general manager instead of our general manager, what would this roster look like? So they replaced Chiarelli with a potato for his stint, and I just want to read you the top 9 forwards of this Edmonton Oilers group without any interference. Now, I think this works as you draft the same guys that you drafted, and you signed. Well, you didn't make any signings. So basically, you draft your same guys, and you sign, like everyone you had before is still there.
Right.
So here's your first line: Taylor Hall, Connor McDavid, Jordan Eberle. Second line: Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Matt Barzal, and Jesse Puljujarvi. Third line: Pouliot, Draisaitl, Yamamoto. Now that's got to be. I think that might be the best center depth in the NHL. McDavid, Barzal, and Draisaitl. Now you can flip-flop Draisaitl and Barzal as much as your heart desires. But if you have either one of those guys as a third liner, let alone a second liner, you're crazy. And then you can maybe move one to the wing if you're hurting a little bit. But my God, that's just a talented forward group. I'm sorry, but this is a lethal offense. Just a lethal offense.
Yeah, I think that's right up there with the Leafs in terms of center depth and Pens. That's really something. And it's crazy how if you just, let things go with the flow and you didn't overthink things and make these drastic deals, how much of a great team you'd have on the table there. So really goes to show you how much Chiarelli really, shot himself in the foot.
And it's actually a lesson I kind of learned in fantasy hockey when I was first starting out. Like you can jump the gun pretty easily in fantasy hockey, Nick. When things are going bad, you want to make a bunch of moves. You want to trade, you drafted Voracek early on, and you just want to trade him because he's doing bad. It's not good asset management. And I'm guilty of that earlier on in my fantasy hockey career. But it's just like sometimes, you take the Jess approach. Remember when we played with Jess? She didn't make barely any moves, and she had a fine year. A fine year. There you go. Because everything just balances out. But, yeah, the potato challenge, and Chiarelli loses against the potato. So, there you go. But we got to move on to one of our final segments here, Nick. This is a fun one. Definitely one that I love to discuss personally because I like to dream up big dreams here. Now, we just recently got some sad news that we won't be having a 2020 World Cup. And boy, did we have fun with 2016. Nick, we were at the pregame festival. We got to shake hands with the players. We saw the concert. It was a fun event, and the tournament was just awesome with Team North America. Like, we saw things we would never see. We saw Matthews and McDavid on the same line, and it was just an awesome event. But we won't be having that in 2020, and it's sad. So what we thought we'd do was create Team Canada's mock roster for 2020. Now, we're taking out the rule of the Team North America. So if there's any young guys that would still be under 24, they're all up for grabs for this team. So just give me your best Team Canada roster that you can possibly think of. Doesn't matter the age. And let's see what we got. So I'd like you to go first, Nick, and I'll give you my counter.
All right. I did not make lines. I didn't go that far.
Come on, make lines. Well, I guess it's too late.
The problem is a lot of these guys can play center and they can also play on the wing.
Yeah, I guess
so. The problem, I just wanted to get the best 13 forwards I could get, right? Because that's ideally it, right? Four lines, and then you have the extra man, right?
Sure.
So I will not give you lines because I just don't know who would play center, who would play on the wing. But what I will give you is 13 names that I thought were deserving of being forwards, 6 on defense, and 2 goalies and a coach.
Oh, a coach. Okay.
Yeah, a coach.
Sure.
It's fun.
Yep.
Okay. Forwards. Connor McDavid.
Boo. Sorry.
Sidney Crosby. Yes. Braden Point.
Oh, that
makes my Team
third
Canada.
Name. Wow, third name.
One of my favorite players.
Okay.
Bergeron.
Yep.
Marchand. I want that duo.
Mm-hmm.
Stamkos. He's looked fresh and rejuvenated. Now that he's healthy, I'd love him on my team.
Yep. Sure.
Nathan McKinnon, of course.
Of course.
Who I've fallen in love with this past year. You got Mitch Marner, who has turned into a star. I want him on my Team Canada. The way he can drive a line, as we've seen with whoever he plays with in Toronto.
Oh yeah.
Scheifele.
Oh.
You got to have him on Team Canada.
Wow, he's a newbie on that team.
Yeah. Tavares.
Yep.
I need net front presence. I need those grinding guys who are going to get those goals. He's always trying real hard. He's like the Richard Magoni of this team, Like he just shoots a lot. Like he just tries 5-hole every time.
Yeah.
And like he's very like emotionless on the ice. He's very like just stoic.
Yeah.
Kind of like Richard. So he's the Magoni of the team.
Magone bone.
Jamie Benn, this one's an interesting one because he's had the
Wow.
slow year this year. But I just need physicality and grit on this team. I can't just have it be skilled guys. And he
Yeah.
gives me skill and the physicality and grit. So I need
Yep.
Ben.
Gotcha.
Mark Stone, a similar guy like that. I need him on this team. And the way he's played it with Ottawa this year, I think he should be a Selke finalist at the very least this year. And then my final name, because I believe that's 12 I just rattled off there.
Yeah.
And this one you're not going to like, and not a lot of people will like.
Uh-oh.
I think Ryan O'Reilly might be one of the most underrated players in the NHL.
Jesus.
He does not get enough attention. He
Jesus
is such
shit.
a fantastic player. He does everything. Like the amount of effort he shows on the ice, what he does all across the ice. He's skilled. He can shoot the puck like a skilled guy. He can grind it out like anybody can. He's got character above the ceiling.
Oh.
Ryan O'Reilly is my 13th forward.
But he's a loser.
How's he a loser?
No, like I like him. I like him. Everything you said, I agree with. But he plays on a lot of losing teams all the time.
But he's
it
the
almost
best
doesn't
player
make
on those
sense.
teams.
I know it doesn't make sense.
It's a shame, but he's the best player. He's so good.
I understand.
watched-
I understand.
Like I didn't watch a lot of him before this year, and now with St. Louis, he does things right every single game.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
No, I don't think
anyways.
it's a bad pick. I don't think it's a bad pick. But again,
Like a 13th forward, like a guy who he
Oh, yeah.
might be deployed some games,
Sure.
some might not
Yeah.
be deployed other games. You know.
I think it's just
Anyways, yeah.
bonkers. Like we just can we just acknowledge like the roster you just named is just ludicrous.
What?
Ludicrous.
How's that bad?
No, it's good. I mean, in terms of just skill.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's fucking fantastic.
It's
No one measures up with these guys. Anyways, defense.
Yeah.
Mark Giordano, a guy who has
you.
emerged as a Norris Trophy candidate this year. I think he's got character. I think he can do a lot on the ice, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
I like him as one of my 6.
All right.
Drew Doughty, a favorite of mine, a guy who makes the team every year. I can't see that changing. He's going to
Barely
stick
had him.
around. One of the better defensemen in the league.
All right.
Chris Letang,
Wow.
a guy who's put up a healthy year this year. I think you need him. You need puck moving D. I'm into that on this team. And this guy's going to lead that charge. And I think you need a guy like Letang there. He's having a career year this season. Seems to be over those health issues. I love him. Morgan Riley, a very similar player who has emerged as a star now. I think you need Morgan on this team. Absolutely. After the year he's having right now. PK Subban. I need that character. I need that character on this team. I need the character, Kyle, and he's going to bring it.
Fuck.
I like PK.
It's bad.
And my 6th defenseman, and this one I was shaky on because he's been on and off this year, Pietrangelo. I want Pietrangelo as my
Wow.
6th defenseman. Just a steady guy I've watched for too long in St. Louis. Again, lots of character. I really like Pietrangelo.
Wow.
You want my goalies?
I do.
Or do you want to give your thoughts on my defense?
You know what? I'll do defense and forward right after your goalies.
Goalies. Carey Price,
Yeah.
Mikey DiPietro.
No. You're joking.
Why?
Come
like,
on.
The backup. Listen, the backup. He's not going to play any games. He's just going to sit on the bench. So if he's sitting on the bench, I want someone who's just going to rally the troops, provide character, keep everyone on the up and up, keep everyone in a good mood. Mikey DiPietro, best
that's
character
like-
of any goal.
But that's like, what if your goalie gets injured and he has
He's
to
not.
go in?
He's not. He's not. Carey's not going to get injured.
Oh, you just know that, eh?
Yeah, I just know that. Come on. Come on.
That's so,
So
out of line.
I got
You're out of
the
line.
best skilled goalie in the world, and then I got the best character goalie in the world.
I guess
Sure,
you just
that's how I did it.
you're tickling your fantasies here. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing. I get that's fine. I mean, this is a fantasy.
What did you
little-
think? So what do you think?
I'll start with the forwards. I really don't have any complaints here. I mean, we had 2 players that were different, and
Sure.
I'll let you know my picks in a second. But I love your Ben pick. And again, he's not having the best year, but he's a guy that can add some grit and really stand up for your team if things are not going right. And no one's gonna push this guy around on the ice. That's awesome. I think the other one you had was O'Reilly, which I didn't have that, but I totally get what you're saying. And I think he was on the World Cup team actually in 2016, and he did just fine there. So that's cool. I understand that. And you singled out Mark Stone, and I think I just want to say, like, I gotta give this guy a nod because he's on my roster as well, and I think he's so deserving of this spot. And I think to me he's my Selke winner so far. And I think, Nick, there's actually not even advanced, but there's stats out there saying that he is top 3 in like scoring chance generation and top 3 in scoring chance suppression. Like, this guy's just insane. If he's on the ice, he's a crazy player to have on your team. So that's the forwards there. No real complaints at all. But here we go with the defense. Like, I don't mind Giordano. I think Letang's an interesting ad because he generally gets no love from Team Canada for whatever reason. But I think he's very deserving of the spot. Subban. Oh, it's a poor choice. Just so poor. If we're talking you wanted his character, I think this is not the character that you want on this team. This guy is just...
You sound like Mark Bergevin.
He's a weirdo. You don't want like I don't see this Team Canada as like a goofy, fun, joke around kind of light atmosphere. I see this as, all right, boys, this is Team Canada. We never lose. We're going in here with a bulletproof attitude. And Subban.
Okay, I made a mistake.
Subban would blow that.
Okay, I'm going to substitute. I just thought of a defenseman that needs to be on this team.
Go ahead, say it.
Mark-Edward Vlasic.
Okay. That's bad.
He needs to be on this team.
That's bad.
He's gonna replace PK or Pietrangelo.
Okay, that's fine. And Pietrangelo, again, we have to consider that this is 2020, so a year goes by. So who knows? Maybe he turns it around. And I always thought he was a good guy, so not too bad. And again, for the goalies, yeah, DiPietro's weird, but again, fantasy, so we can say whatever we want, I guess. So yeah, I'll get into mine. I like your team, Nick, and I'm glad you subbed out Subban. I'm glad we see eye to eye there.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot Vlasic. He needs to be there.
Yeah. So now my team actually has lines, so it's just a little bit of adding and mixing and matching. So I'll go through the lines here. My first player is a guy that I think you may have forgotten, Nick. This guy, this is another guy that doesn't get enough love. Claude Giroux. On my first line left winger, playing with McDavid and McKinnon. McKinnon on the right side. Boy, oh boy, these guys last year would have each had 100 points or more if they were all healthy. Claude had 102 to come second in league scoring and having a crazy year this year too. Second line, Marchand, Crosby, Bergeron, same as 2016. One of the most dominant lines of the tournament. Third line. This is the GTA connection. Stamkos, Tavares, Marner. Tavares and Marner connection there. Fourth line. Braden Point on the left side with Mark Scheifele and Mark Stone. The Marks. The Points and the Marks team up. My 13th forward. I had to add this guy. He's just too electric. Far too electric. Matt Barzal. If you can plug him in to give you just a spark of offense whenever you want, and he's a guy that can control the play. And I think you could test him out with a Crosby like we saw in the All-Star game. If something's not working out there, I think he's a good guy to throw in. My defense was carefully crafted with the finest Swiss precision. I've got and these pairings are in no particular order. I like these pairings in particular. I like Morgan Riley with Shea Weber. I know Weber's going to be a little bit older and all that, but he's going to be a solid rock for allowing Riley to go jump in on the offense. I got Mark-Edouard Vlasic and his buddy Brent Burns. Again, the solid rock in Vlasic, and Burns let him freewheel and do his thing. And then I have Drew Doughty and Tommy Shabbat. I think in a year's time, Tommy Shabbat will continue to be one of the premier offensive defensemen, And I think with Doughty, maybe they both like their offense, but Doughty can also be very, very responsible defensively, and he'll let Tommy do his thing while he mans the fort back there. So I think that's a good, solid 6 defenseman right there. So there's mine, and for my goalies, it's quite simple. We have 2 guys that I've owned this year in fantasy, is Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury. What we've seen in Fleury is 2 different guys. I mean, Fleury, the pure athlete, maybe he's gotten better with his positional play and his poise, but Fleury's more of the acrobat. He's more of the showman, and we've seen Carey Price as, cool as a cucumber, positionally sound, just a technical masterpiece, and perhaps not as agile and as quick as Fleury, but still just a top 5 goalie in the league, especially this year in 2019. Since January, he's been unbelievable. So yeah, that's my Team Canada, and again, just bonkers, just simply disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, like the forwards aren't too different, like you said.
No.
But I've made this case before, and this is just a personal gripe of mine, having watched the San Jose Sharks play a lot. I don't like Brett Burns as a defenseman. He's my favorite player, but he's a liability on defense. And if you watch the Sharks as much as I do, you see he makes bad decisions in games. He pinches when he doesn't have to pinch, and he costs his team. And I don't care how many points he gets in Olympic hockey, I can't have those antics. So to me, he can't be on my team, and that's why I went with more, steady guys.
Yeah, fair.
So that was the rationale there, and then I don't know, Shabbat, great player. I don't know if he's old enough to take on that role, even in 2020.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I like the goalies. If it weren't for my DiPietro character factor, I think Fleury would be the second guy.
He's
just so
guy
athletic,
too,
and he's got character, which is great.
Oh, out the wazoo.
So yeah, no big complaints for me. Just little changes here and there.
Just the Burnsy.
And who's the coach?
I'm gonna be boring. I'm gonna say Mike Babcock. He's the guy. He's just the guy.
Well, I will go with the man who started our episode, Piere Mcguire.
Wow, you are taking this to a whole new level.
Why not?
I like it.
A coach doesn't have to do anything. On Team Canada, you could literally just sit there with your arms behind your back. Like we could coach Team Canada.
Nick. I have to say this. The only thing a Team Canada coach has to do is command respect from egotistical superstars and get everyone to fill their role. Pierre is incapable of any of those things. Pierre comes in, and all the guys just go wide-eyed and go, "This is going to be so fun," and they're gonna think this is just a shit show free for all. Mike Babcock comes in the room, and you're like, "Oh, okay. You want me to play defense? But I'm Mark Scheifele. You got it, sir. I'll do whatever you say." Like that's got to be a factor here, Nick.
Even when Pierre raises his voice and gets everyone all scared.
No, come on. They're laughing. They're laughing. They're just having the greatest time.
That's sad.
Doughty's giving an elbow over to Burnsy there, and he goes, "Look at this idiot." You know what's
He's
going
a Stanley Cup winning coach that gets no respect.
0. Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of Pierre, Nick, Pierre's got an interesting little stat line that you brought up earlier on in the show. And given the just over halfway point of the season, what is this interesting stat line that you have to share with us?
The stat line, famous historical statistic here by Piere Mcguire.
Yeah.
In the history of the NHL, only 2 teams have made the playoffs when trailing north of 10 points at the All-Star game.
Wow.
The 1995 Buffalo Sabres and one of Kyle's favorite teams in the history of the league, The Hamburglar Ottawa Senators.
maybe ever.
The
Nick.
magical run.
Yeah. Wow.
Those are the
that's-
two exceptions.
That's
And so
amazing.
today, to end this episode, we're tasked with putting this test to work and seeing just how ridiculous it may sound
Wow.
and whether or not we agree or disagree.
Right.
So, without further ado, according to this statistic, these teams will be out.
East first.
Okay. Ottawa Senators,
Okay, fair.
New Jersey Devils,
Mm.
Philadelphia Flyers,
Mm.
Detroit Red Wings,
Hmm.
and the final one, the Florida Panthers.
Now, is
What do you make of that?
Is this 10 and up, or is this over 10?
10 and up.
Wow.
Florida's right at 10.
You know what?
No games in hand.
Nick. Fuck. Call me crazy. No, I'm crazy. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I can't. You know what? You're right. Because, like, I want to say that I can see a run in Florida. They got Vinny Trocheck back. They're finally healthy, and we know they're a decent team. I want to say I can see a run there, but then when you do look at the guys in, it's so hard to imagine this happening. Like, who falls here? Like Pittsburgh, Boston are in the wild card spots. They're not going to fall. Come on. Pittsburgh's got they have a 4-point cushion already, and I don't see Pittsburgh going any lower than this. So no, I'm buying this for the East. I'm absolutely buying this. But I think when we look at the West, things will be very mucky, a lot muckier than the East. But yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And one more thing about Florida is they'd have to leapfrog like 3 teams.
Yeah.
Because above them is Rangers, Carolina, Buffalo. And that's not easy to do.
It's not, but again, at the beginning of the year, I would have told you that Florida was better than all those guys, but I mean, it just hasn't played out that way, but I still think we might see a run, but there's no way Florida makes it in.
Alrighty.
on to the
Western
West.
Conference.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Kings.
Oh my God. Wait a minute here. They're all in the threshold.
Oh yeah. They're
my
all
God.
within 10 points.
This is a mess. This is an absolute mess.
Holy shit.
I wonder if this is unprecedented, Nick. The last place team in the West
Oh my
is
God.
absolutely within striking distance.
I got to start watching the LA Kings again.
They're 8 points back. This is absurd.
Yeah, no games in hand, flat, 50 games,
What?
8 points back.
So Pierre's little trick is just non-existent in the West.
Wow.
That's insane. I didn't even know this was mathematically possible. Like, I thought LA was a bottom feeder of all bottom feeders. And oh my God. Wow.
And that just goes to show you how bad these teams have been, right?
Yeah.
Like as much as we love them, the Colorado Avalanche are 2 games above 500. Like they're basically a 500 hockey team. And they're in the wild card spot.
They are just plummeting to their doom.
Since when has 500 got you into the playoffs? That's crazy.
Now, don't look now, but who's surging back there is St. Louis and Arizona. Like, imagine those 2 teams getting in. St. Louis, everyone wrote off so many months ago, and Arizona is the joke of the NHL. Like, this is an absolute race that is... I didn't even know it was this dramatic. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, this is something to pay attention to from now on out. And it's funny you mentioned those 2 teams because I have something to say about both.
Okay.
Arizona, in my opinion, is like that ragtag group of schmucks that like no one respects, and on paper they look awful.
Yeah.
But then, like, when you watch them play, they're like as hard-working and like well-coached underdog team in the league.
Wow.
Like if you watch that game against Toronto the other week, like the win they had in Toronto,
Yeah.
like they had no business winning that game. But like they just found a way. Like these ragtag guys just hustled and got these goals past Freddie, these sneaky goals. And the coaching's exquisite because the PK, Kyle, first in the NHL.
Wow.
I mean, they're quietly still in contention. In fact, Pierre, he's done a lot of games there this season, and he's good friends with the coach, Rick Tocchet, and they think they're going to make the playoffs.
Fuck.
They're that confident.
I mean, Nick, they win one game and they're tied with
Yeah, they're
Colorado.
in the playoffs.
Win a game and you're in a spot.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And the one thing I'll say about St. Louis, my team, is and Ray Ferraro made this point. He thinks St. Louis is going to get that wild card spot because you look at all these other teams, and there's glaring weaknesses on all of them.
Agreed.
Anaheim can't score.
Yeah.
Arizona, just on paper, they just don't look appealing. Right?
And
It's like
they
they're
have
playing out of their
trouble
minds.
scoring, too.
It doesn't look like sustained success, right?
Yeah.
Edmonton, the Peter Chiarelli factor.
Yeah.
They've dug themselves too deep into a hole. Chicago, LA, rebuilding. Vancouver, some question marks on defense. But you look at St. Louis, or sorry, one more, Dallas. Drama and ownership, drama from the coaching. Lots of drama there.
Yeah. And they've got their top guys just underperforming this year too. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good. And then you look at St. Louis. From the start of the season, we've loved them on paper. They had the forward depths, 4 solid lines, 3 solid D pairs.
But
Their one glaring weakness, Jake Allen.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden,
Don't.
we've seen the emergence
Don't.
of young Binnington.
Oh God.
Kyle, 5 wins,
Mm.
184 GAA,
Yeah.
924 save percentage. The guy's killing it in Yahoo Fantasy right now. He's killing it for me. This guy's the savior.
How do you? It's too early to say. It's too early to say.
He's a highly touted prospect since when he was drafted. The AHL numbers in San Antonio have been there. He's a stud.
So you're running on this rookie goalie to get your team to the
Hey,
playoffs.
when we put our predictions in 2 months ago, the updated ones, I told you St. Louis is going to make the playoffs, and I'm sticking with it. And I think Ferraro's got it right. There's a glaring weakness on every one of these teams, like I just said.
Okay.
And this one St. Louis team seems to have fixed their one weakness. And I've
Okay.
seen enough from the kid. I've watched enough games. He's like 10 times better than Jake Allen. It's like night and day.
So Nick, I'll give you 3 teams. Who falls out? Dallas, Minnesota, Colorado. Who falls out?
Dallas.
Okay.
I love Colorado too much. They're too underplaying right now. They're better than they've been playing.
Yeah.
They're not this bad.
You're right. Yeah.
We know this. They're going to get in. Minnesota, they've been a dark horse for me from the start. I had them being a top 3 teams in the Central. I think Bruce Boudreau, he's one of our favorite coaches for a reason. I think he's gonna fix the mess there.
Hmm.
And Dallas, too much drama. The Stars aren't playing like the Stars, and it's just too wacky. It's just too inconsistent. I could see them dropping out.
Ah, interesting. Nick, oh boy. And yeah, it just seems like Dallas has gone so long without getting Ben and Sagan. Ben and Sagan have never had a sustained playoff run in the entire time together. It's insane. Like these guys have been one of the most dynamic duos in the league for a long time now, and they've had one round that didn't go very well. It just seems like a really sad story to me. But if I were to choose out of those three, if I'm honest, I'll pick Minnesota. Sure,
Wow.
they have a 3-point cushion on those two other teams, but this team, I see Dubnyk, and he just doesn't play with confidence this year as much as he has in the past. He just seems like a weird guy, just a weird goaltender out there. And they don't have the X factor. They don't have, I know Parise's doing some weird stuff out there, but they got rid of Niederreiter and got a shitty return. It just seems like things are going to catch up with them, age-wise and Boudreaux-wise, blowing a gasket. To be honest, Nick, and I'm just going to say this for theatrics, I'm going to pick Edmonton here. They're 3 points back.
Wow.
I'm going to pick Edmonton for one reason. They're 3 points back right now. I think every guy in that room has texted their buddies. They've texted their parents. They've texted everybody they know. And they've said, thank God, Chiarelli is not running this team anymore. The mental boost that this team is going to get from that, plus if you have Connor firing on all cylinders and you've got Draisaitl's having a quiet career year, Nuge is having a very quiet career year, like this team can still put up a decent amount of goals if they can get something good from Koskinen. Something good. Give us an average goaltender. I think Edmonton could quietly make a last wild card spot. And Connor McDavid will win the Hart Trophy for it. Now that's just for theatrics. And because I have very little faith in a Nick team like St. Louis. So that's my pick there.
I almost want to make a bet with you right here and now.
Oh, I'm down.
But I don't know which one. Like, what's the bet? Is the bet who falls out, like Minnesota, Dallas, or is the bet St. Louis, Edmonton? Like,
let's go St. Louis, Edmonton. Let's bet on the positive rather than the negative, and let's go St. Louis, Edmonton.
So
The winner will get
higher?
Yeah. Well, no, the winner has to be someone who makes the playoffs. If neither one of them does, then it's nullified.
Okay.
They have to make the playoffs.
What if both make the playoffs?
Nullified. Yeah.
Okay.
It's playoff or bust for this deal, and I guess we'll put a crisp 20 down if that's all right.
No, I was just gonna say a pitcher.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
They have to
That's
buy a pitcher for the other guy at the bar.
That's fine. Yeah.
There we
if you
go.
want to go lower stakes? That's perfect. Well, I guess it's like $5 difference, but
It's
whatever.
just about
Yeah.
It's just more fun.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Perfecto.
This is awesome. I'm excited to watch this race. Like you said, like we said, it's unbelievable that these guys are so close, and who knows what'll happen. But let's go Edmonton. I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah, I can't think of another season where after the break you're as eager just to look at the standings after every night just to see how they change.
Yeah.
It's really something.
You know what, Nick? I'm going to change my mind here. Whoever finishes higher between the two teams.
Okay.
Let's just go. I mean, it's just a pitcher. Who cares? Let's just go all in on this.
Well, you've heard it here. You've heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
You are the witnesses to this deal, and the loser will be held accountable.
Indeed, they will. All right, guys. Well, it's been a hell of a long episode. We apologize for that, but there was a lot of very good content this week, and we just felt like we had to really dive in this week. So, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for listening to the end if you're still around. And it's been a pleasure today, as I'm sure Nick agrees. And that's it for today's show. So, without further ado, this is Rink Moose signing off.